Oh no, but you're two of the races you're in grades, right? Not. Yeah.
Okay. Bob, one of our guys. We got third place overall.
No, first.
First.
Yeah, that's the trophy for overall first. The lot, everyone.
Wow. Yeah. State.
Yeah. Oh no, it was New South.
And this is
Australia-wide.
Coaching team.
This is it.
Australia-wide.
You're contributing, so I thought
over what? Over 65? No.
No.
Bob's my younger brother.
35 and up.
Yeah.
35 and up. He won the Australian first prize. And how old are you, Bob?
Almost 66.
Almost 66. So all those young, fit 40-year-olds.
But I ought to be ashamed of yourselves.
Yeah.
Smoked and drank.
There's your man. Well, congratulations, congratulations.
I appreciate it.
We're all proud of him. Protein, it's all about protein these days. Go to the supermarket, there's protein bars and protein drinks and this and that, all with extra protein so you can build yourself up. Well, we're not just talking about muscle building, no, we're talking about cycling nutrition. And cycling nutrition has come quite a long way, especially recently in the last 10 years. Well, it's not just all about carbs and the old school of load up those carbs because you're going to burn it off. Well, it's also a balance. You also need protein. Without going into great detail, protein helps muscle recovery and limits the losses that you've worked so hard to accomplish. So is it about having more protein and less carbohydrate? Cycling's an endurance sport. You're going to burn up a lot of carbohydrates. But when you get to the limit, you burn up a lot of those carbohydrates, your body will start eating into its protein reserves. And that's not good. A little bit's okay, but when you start eating into your protein reserves, you start going backwards. It's no good. So you need to keep up your carbohydrates and protein at the same time. So what it is about is developing better functioning musculature and facilitating the energy transfer. That's why you need protein as well as carbohydrates. Now, it all depends on your aims as a cyclist. Now, most of us will probably not go wrong because we're in it for fitness, for sports, some are even racing. But when you talk about an elite cyclist, then his diet is more attuned, but we'll leave that up to them. But the general principles are the same. It's not only how much you eat, it's also when you eat. One of those principles is to have the protein after your exercise, preferably within 30 minutes. So when you finish your bike ride, do what you need to do, take your gear off and get changed and whatnot, have a bit of a natter. But within 30 minutes after you finish your exercise, get that protein in. Another school of thought too is, if you're really serious, bedtime. When you go to sleep to when you wake up, you're really not taking anything in. You've got a long period of time, up to 10 hours maybe, before you eat again. So what you can do is eat just before you go to bed, get your protein levels up again, and that'll help you get through the night. Now, a good natural protein supplement is milk, just whole milk. The only problem is, of course, it's dairy, and that can be controversial. We're not going to go there. But milk contains in protein both casein and whey. Now, whey is the one you take in after you exercise mostly because it's quickly processed into the body, and casein is processed a lot slower. So your casein might be good for your overnight. But either way, full cream milk is great for that. Pity it's got cream in it, but you can also get low-fat milk, of course. Well, enough said. I'll let you do your own research, but what I am going to share with you is a little protein supplement that I've been using for many years. It's homemade, it's cheap and easy to make, and here it is. First thing you need is one of these, a food processor, and I recommend a minimum power of about 700 watts. Okay, so these are your basic ingredients, and we'll start off here. Pitted dates. I buy these ones because they're cheap and the seeds have already been taken out. So it's pitted dates. Then cashews. These are called natural because there's no salt or anything. One whole orange. This is cocoa powder. My favourite one is dark Dutch chocolate, but ordinary cocoa powder will do. This is whey powder. Now, if you want to go non-dairy, you don't have to use whey powder. There's lots of substitutes. My favourite is these two here. This is pumpkin seed powder, and this one here is LSA, linseed, sesame and almond meal. Right. First thing you need is 300 grams of nuts. Now you can use any nuts you want, but cashews are really good basic to start with. Now what I'm going to do is have half cashews, that's 150 grams of cashews, and 150 grams of peanuts, because the peanuts give it that peanut taste. A little bit like Snickers bar because of the chocolate as well. So it's half and half, 150 grams of cashews and 150 grams of peanuts. So you can do it whichever way you want, experiment with different nuts. If you like pistachio, you can use pistachio. Right, so in with the cashews, and then 150 grams of the peanuts. I already know is 150 grams. Right. Now, what you need to do is we're going to crush them up to a powder first. So we'll turn the food processor on. Okay, I've just ground mine to a medium grade. You can leave them whole if you want. You don't have to start off with this. If you like those nice nutty chewy bits, a whole nut, or you can go even finer than this. I've just sort of done medium. Now 300 grams of pitted dates, they're the same weight as the nuts, it's just pitted dates. In with the dates. And the whey powder, about 4 or 5 tablespoons. That's a large spoon. Tablespoon, dessert spoon, whatever you want to call it. So I've already put 3, 4, 5. I put 5 dessert spoons of whey powder in there. And of course you can use your non-dairy amounts, just the same. Peel the orange, so take all the peel off of the orange. Now your peeled orange, just pop that straight in. And the last ingredient, and my favourite ingredient, I love chocolate. If you like chocolate, put in a bit extra. So I'm putting in, this is quite strong too, the dark chocolate, 2 heap tablespoons. That's a little bit extra because the first one was a bit small. Right. Now just put the lid on. And then start off by just pulsing it. Because it's really thick. It'll take a while for the blades to chew through it and start stirring it up. Have a look, and if it's all nice and stirred up and fairly consistent, it still just means chopping up a bit more. Then you're right, then you can start it going a bit longer. I usually do about between 5 and 10 second intervals. Because it's still thick and you don't want to burn out your engine. Right, it's all done and it should look nice and consistent like that. It's like chocolate mousse, thick chocolate mousse, and it tastes like it too. Give it a bit of a taste if you want. Tell you what, you get addicted to this, it's so nice. And it's got some, I've left it so that there's some bits of nuts in there, not too big and not too small, so there's little crunchy bits in there as well, just nice. Then all you do is you get a container like that, and you just, because it's so thick, it'll take a while. You might have a better way of doing it. Remember, don't lick the blades because you'll cut your tongue. As much temptation as it is to lick the blades. Now just smooth it out into a flat piece as much as you can. And if you've got a nice solid bench, bang it. That settles it down. Makes it nice and even and flat. And once it's all nice and flat, pop the lid on and throw it in the fridge, and the next day it'll be ready. Now my favourite part, I'm going to have to wash all this out. No way! Yum! So this is what it looks like, just the same. Now you get a smaller container, And that's ready for my ride.
There you go. Seen you for a while. Seen a few photos. Been tying a bit of mud.
It's
up
coming
there.
back.
A couple of,
Some are having a cappuccino.
What's happened? Only trying to upset.
We're having their cappuccinos, so guess what we got?
Put out a bit of
Or banana.
Cow patty.
Well, it's a cow pat.
Cow pat, that's alright.
High in protein, cow pat.
Picked it up on the way.
Picked it up on the way. Come on, taste it. Taste it. Put your finger in there. Honestly, you'll go, that's the best tasting cow pat ever. It's a protein. Trust me.
Make sure you're on a good day.
Yeah.